Sleepers. Heath, the rest of your sleepers are Antonio Gibson, the Bears running backs. Jamie had Rashawn Johnson on his list, and David Njoku. Antonio Gibson. Go ahead and make the case for Gibson. All of these guys, by the way, outside the top 100, some of them well outside. Antonio Gibson, go.
Yeah, I don't think Antonio Gibson should be anywhere close to the top 100. I think he should probably be in round 8, maybe even in round 7. I mean, it should be outside the top 100 at all. I said that backwards. But there's been a lot of talk in Washington about the offense that Eric Bieniemy is going to run. I think there was a really clever headline there, increasing their screen time, and it was not about iPhones. A lot of plans for screens in this offense, and I don't believe that Brian Robinson's going to be on the receiving end of most of those screens. I do think it will be Antonio Gibson. Ron Rivera seems to like Gibson a lot more now that Scott Turner is gone. I'm not sure that Brian Robinson's going to fully dominate the early down work either. I actually like Gibson as my favorite Washington running back, and I think he has a decent chance to be a low-end number 2.
Ooh, you think Gibson should be a round 8 pick, huh?
Or earlier.
Ooh, wow, that's hot. That's hot. Jamie, what do you think?
No, I don't disagree with that, especially in PPR. I think you could see a situation where if Ron Rivera lets Eric Bieniemy run the offense that he wants to run, and this is not an Andy Reid, Eric Bieniemy situation. This is just more of a Ron Rivera saying, I'm a defensive guy. We have to, ground and pound our way to a 12-11 victory. I think Gibson makes a lot of sense. And it's just a matter of, does this now, no expectations, because we put a lot of expectations on Antonio Gibson as fantasy analysts and fantasy managers and fantasy players. Does the lack of expectations and buying the dip on Gibson make a lot of sense? I don't want to overvalue him. I still think Robinson will be the first and second down guy. And I think Robinson might surprise us a little bit in the passing game if they use him in that capacity. But Gibson is going to be one of the better number 4 running backs that you will take, because not only will he factor in tandem with Robinson, if Robinson gets hurt, then I think we could see him really take off.
Would you take Antonio Gibson over James Conner?
No.
James Conner should be going in like round 4 though. So
yeah. If I were doing a sleepers list, Conner would be the first guy on my sleepers list. But he's not going in round 4. He's going in round like 6 or 6. Oh, he's going 85th. So that's why I put him in there with Gibson. Would you take?
I mean, let's also keep in mind that most of the fantasy pros ADP we're looking at is best ball.
Well, it's just the wide receivers get pushed up pretty high and the running backs fall. But would you take Gibson or James Cook?
Cook.
I have them back to back, but I have Cook one spot higher.
Okay. Another guy you want to talk about is the Bears running. You guys can both talk about this here. The Bears running backs. Are they all going late enough where value doesn't really matter? You just take the one you like best, because they're all, like I said. Let's see, when's Kahlil Herbert going?
Well, I think there's kind of, it depends on how deep your draft is. Like in a draft where it's 15 rounds and you're picking a defense and a kicker, then yeah, they're probably all going close enough to where it's just whichever one you like better. If it's a 20 round best ball draft, I think there's a significant difference between where they're going, but they're all undervalued. I've got Kahlil Herbert in round 8. I've got Deontay Foreman in round 10. And I think it's actually Herbert that's going in round 10 and Foreman that's going like in round 15 or round 16. My expectation, and we'll see how Rashawn Johnson mixes in, is that it's kind of going to be a competition between Herbert and Foreman. I think Herbert's getting the first crack at it, but one of those guys will have that 15 carry per game role, and one of them will be a back out to that role. And then Rashawn Johnson's eventually going to take the pass catching role that Travis Homer will probably do early in the year.
Sometimes we look at a backfield and we go, you know what? I'm just avoiding it. Does anybody feel that way about the Bears?
Not at this cost.
Not at this cost, no.
Okay. And Herbert is, for Heath, the highest ranked. Jamie, Herbert, the highest ranked for you?
Yeah, Herbert's the highest ranked. I think we're all hoping, based on what we saw from Herbert in the 2 games that David Montgomery missed last year and the times that they've used him a little bit more extensively, that he's the one that takes off. For me, the second one is Rashawn Johnson, mostly because I think this is the type of player that got buried in college behind a very talented running back, and I think we'll show some things in the NFL that we did not expect. And so I'm more excited about him than I am Foreman. And so he's the one that I would take a shot on first. I almost think that Foreman's going to be kind of in a similar role where they're not going to use him unless there's an injury to Herbert, and then he gets an opportunity, unless Roschon Johnson's just that good. And so I don't really have a lot of stock. I don't really want to have a lot of stock in Foreman unless it's just, last round pick. I'll take a flyer on somebody that may stand out in this backfield. But I think for me, Herbert is the one you look at, especially if he continues to fall. But Roschon Johnson, based on cost, is the one that I'm going to have the most shares of.
Okay, a couple of comments in the chat here. I'm surprised Heath didn't click on this one. Heath kind of looks like Christian Bale. Okay,
it's just a different every season. It's a new celebrity, and I did not expect Christian Bale to be the celebrity this year. But let's go with it.
Let's keep that one. Adam's hair looks like it's peel and stick. I don't know what that means, but
are you at wig territory yet?
I mean, I guess so.
No.
Well, it looks like it. Apparently, I could see kind of it's not sitting well today, so it looks a little fake. I get that. All right, last sleeper for Heath is David Njoku. All right, so. Go ahead, David Njoku.
Well, this goes back to the I think you have to believe in the tight end buckets to believe in David Njoku.
Oh, good. I'm glad you said that. I have to put it in my notes. I have to call you out on something. Okay, go ahead. I'm very excited.
Good. I don't remember which thing it was, but because Kevin Stefanski's offense has pretty consistently had a role for pass-catching tight ends, usually multiple pass-catching tight ends. We saw Njoku stay healthy last year, for the most part, played 14 games and really stepped into the lead role, earning 80 targets in those 14 games. I think all the signs that the Browns have given us this offseason is that they are going to live and die on Deshaun Watson and throw the ball a lot more. And so I think there's a chance that Njoku's targets actually go up, despite the fact they added Elijah Moore and drafted some wide receivers. And he was basically a low-end top 10 tight end last year. If Deshaun Watson is Deshaun Watson again, and they throw the ball a league average number of times, not even a lot, then Njoku has a good chance to be a top 5 tight end.
He averaged the same amount of points as Evan Ingram and doesn't get discussed even close. And Ingram's getting Calvin Ridley added. So they're not even close in terms of the way they're evaluated and discussed, at least in my opinion. Ingram and David Njoku. It's just weird. It's like I have a hard time drafting. What's his upside? What's Njoku's upside?
I think I just said if Deshaun Watson is Deshaun Watson and they throw the ball a league average number of times, he could be a top 5 tight end.
You said that?
The literal words that came out of my mouth.
On this show, you said it? This is why I'm not a billionaire. I don't know. Like top 5, it seems kind of rich. But okay, actually, it doesn't seem rich because top 5's not what to do. What do you think his upside is, though? So anyway, let me call you out on something now that I'm completely embarrassed. You said on the previous show you were Adam's bold predictions. You didn't buy that Jahmyr Gibbs could be a top 5 running back. And you said, oh, what are they going to do? Laporta and Jameson Williams and like all these targets. What are they going to do? Running back buckets. Someone said it on YouTube. This goes completely, that argument you made goes completely against everything you ever say to me, which is position buckets. That's my response to that complaint about my Jahmyr Gibbs.
I think you were projecting a lot more catches for Jahmyr Gibbs than DeAndre Swift had.
I was projecting about 70 to 80, and Swift was kind of on pace to be like close to 60. So not a lot more.
So you were expecting the bucket to grow, and I was saying it'd be difficult for it to grow when they've added more weapons at other places.
Yeah, whatever.